Oh man, that's wild right there, and it's. I think I'd rather actually come in contact with a demon than something crazy like that.
Sorry, I'm so long-winded too.
No,
that's fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
long-winded is good.
Yeah, absolutely. We get some people who are going to drag stuff out. I'm just like, oh, come on, dude.
You're like a dentist. They're pulling teeth.
You get some people on here who are very boring.
No, they're excited about coming on the show, but then they get here and they don't know what to say. And I'm kind of like that when I'm in the interviewees need do. So, yeah, I'm better with the questions. Speaking of questions, we do have one from the chat room.
Oh, really? Good.
Could the thing you saw have been a holograph?
Some sort of holographic projection from an outside source that may have been cloaked. That's entirely possible. If you look into Project Carrot, if any of you are familiar with that, it was an experiment that had been conducted in and around the California/Nevada/Arizona region. Pictures have surfaced, and in fact, Bill and his gang from UFO Hunters presented these pictures on an investigation they did two seasons ago. These pictures are submitted to them. The strange-looking, almost transformer-like robotic mothership of a size-type craft that just all of a sudden appeared and then disappeared in a cloaking format like the Philadelphia experiment, where they used high levels of magnetic propulsion, reverse negative energy type cloaking device to create the image of what's behind the craft as actual foreground versus background. That's a possibility.
And a follow-up question, and also, have you gone back to the same location and tried it again to see if the same thing happens?
Yeah, I have done that once every year since then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've not. I always do follow-ups with my investigations. I always make sure that I keep in contact with them quarterly over the phone to make sure things are still in good standing. And I always go to the location again a year to the date to try to recreate the events of that point to see if it was a time lapse, a residual occurrence, or if it was just something that happened at that point. For some reason, something didn't want me there. I don't know if it felt threatened or it was just a happenstance where I showed up and it could have happened to anyone. I'm not sure. Or maybe it happened to other people and they never saw him. Who knows?
Wow.
That's
Off the
something
hook.
else. And it's, we love hearing stories like that because but it's getting the redundant thing of, hearing what kind of equipment people like using and all that every week. So anything like this is very refreshing. And if anybody is just now joining us, we have Neal Parks on, and anyone who has any questions for Neal can personal message me or Kathy, and we'll be glad to ask him the questions.
In the chat room, which is at parachallengedradio.com. So yeah, that is just a phenomenal story. I think you blew away most of our listeners. Yes, and the chat room was all like, "Whoa!"
It's truly an X-Files moment.
We all kind of did that at the same time, where our mouths drooped open, and we're all kind of sitting here stunned, going, "I don't know how I would handle something like that."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of us have had like a paranormal experience in the chat room, and Kathy and myself have it. Anything like that, that's just...
Now, the interesting thing about the other formation that we saw a month later after it appeared, we went the day after it occurred to, it was another farmer, another soybean field, and he charged my wife and I $5 a piece just to go back and look at it. So it was worth the $10. And he drove us back there in his jalopy of a truck with a half-dismembered deer carcass in the bed of the truck. So my wife was flipping out at that point. She's like, "Oh my God, if you get me killed, I'm going to kill you." I'm like, "Well, how can you kill me if you're dead?" So I sat I sat in the middle. That way she didn't have to sit next to Farmer John. But he was a really nice guy, very informative, very sure of what he saw the night of the formation as it appeared. And he said it was a weird blue, he called it an omniscient glow. But it was like a blue ambient light, and he said he kept hearing this weird low-pitched hum that would make his ears hurt if he walked outside. So he went back inside, and I'm like, well, what did you do at that point? He said, I went down to the storm cellar and hunkered down with my guns, and I was ready to defend my planet if I had to. So, Farmer John, he's going to take care of himself. He's down there in the storm cellar with his wife. She's probably still doing laundry, and he's hanging out with his rifle, ready to take down whatever. It's like the movie Signs. So,
Yeah, the cooking from the cornfield.
yeah, she could have used the water from the laundry to defend him. Screw his rifle. Anyway,
Yeah, really.
yeah. So,
Someday all these horror movies.
spoiler alert, sorry.
They're gonna pay off.
Yeah, they are. They certainly are. But we went there. See, I get sidetracked all the time. We went there that Sunday after it had appeared on Saturday. And my wife and I were walking around. The entire formation was over 300 feet in diameter. This was a massive formation. And this wasn't your run-of-the-mill hunky-junky circle that some toothless redneck would make with a 2x4, or like those two British chaps that claimed responsibility for all the formations made since the 1300s. I don't know how that's plausible, but you throw out disinformation like that, and enough blissfully ignorant people are going to buy it. But this formation, overall, the geometric pattern defies anything I've ever seen in the States. And this was equal to the formations that have been popping up in the Westshire fields of England. I mean, this was just dynamic. I had never experienced or seen anything like it. And the soil had ashened properties, like metallic properties, almost like someone sprinkled glitter all over it. It was the weirdest, driest soil I had ever touched. And I have fillings in my teeth from where I ate a bunch of candy and stuff as a kid. And I had to have the cavities drilled out, so I've got these fillings in my teeth back in the day when they were lead. So getting into this thing with high magnetic properties like this and particles of radiation just exposed itself atmospherically to my fillings, and it felt like I was chewing on a fork while sticking my head in the microwave. It was horribly painful. Oh, it was dreadful. Like if you're I don't know, taking out a stick of gum when you used to wrap it in the foil, and you forget to take it out of the foil and you bite down on it, it's like, oh my god. So it hurt that bad. And I'm walking around in just excruciating pain. My head's pounding. I can barely talk. I can barely see. My wife's just chatting away outside of the formation on her mobile phone, talking to her mother about the formation. She steps in, loses signal. Steps out, gets signal again. I'm like, well, let's check this out. So I'm holding her phone, and I step out. Everything's copacetic. You step in, you lose bars. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever experienced. And we walked and traced through everything with just walking through, looking at the crops. And the crops were exposed to an extreme temperature change, extreme heat from some source, because you can tell the difference if someone just goes in and traipses around on the crops and makes like a half-ass circle where it's not fully 360 degrees. It's like taking 180 and 180 and then taking away 35%. This was full-fledged circular formation action. And when you are looking at it, the crops are swollen and expanded like a hot dog about ready to pop in a microwave. I keep going to the microwave for some reason. So they were like that and slumped over. Not broken,